Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farouk Batafi. Viewers, today one has to talk about the new developments that are taking place. Yesterday, Prime Minister of Pakistan went to Karachi. There he went and met the stock exchange team as well, the businessman community. He must have done something great there that today Pakistan Stock Exchange was really bullish. The second very constructive thing to happen in past 24 hours, actually past 1 or 2 hours, because that continued until the previous hour, is that the Prime Minister held a special or chaired a special meeting of cabinet where every minister had to present their performance report, and then he is reviewing those reports and he is going to decide which one stays, which one goes, or which cabinet minister deserves any other portfolio. This is important because if you remember 5 years ago when PMLN was ruling the country, at that time also at the very start they said that we are going to take stock of the performance of our ministers, but then nothing of the sort happened. We know that the situation kept on actually going out of hand in those days, because then after 100 days they said okay, another 100 days, then okay, another 100 days, and eventually it was the entire 5 years. But now there is a government that actually at this moment is trying to make sure that whatever it is doing should be in line with its promises, and that is heartening. Today we are going to talk about the Karachi visit because there are many aspects of Karachi that are important. And we are going to talk about the cabinet meeting as well, because again, as I pointed out, it is heartening that now the focus of federal cabinet, especially the Prime Minister, is on efficiency, on service delivery, on better governance. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by Nusrat Wahid Saiba, MNA of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being part of the program. Next to her is Imtiaz Wadai Saab. If you watch this channel, if you watch this program, he has been a regular. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Before I go to the next speaker, let me also tell you that Wadai Saab is a senior advocate of Supreme Court. So that actually helps us when we are going to talk about the legal aspects and the constitutional aspects of things. And next to him is Javed Rana Sahab, again a senior journalist, a regular on the show. Thank you very much, Javed Rana, for being here as well. Ma'am, I have to start with you, and I have to ask you, how did the Prime Minister's visit to Karachi go? What were the key takeaways from that visit?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, Prime Minister went to Karachi to see businessmen because they have some, some doubts or something, that they thought that this government is doing not very much favor by the dollar going up and down. That makes them, worried. So PM went there and told them the real situation, what has happened there. And because our government plays a vital role with businessmen, so he had a meeting with them, and initially he tries to convince them that whatever will be happen, he is not going to destroy their business or anything else.
Right.
So that
So
was,
it was an exercise in confidence building.
yes.
And what happens to the voters that of Karachi that have actually voted for your party? And now they are facing a very strange kind of situation where a provincial government doesn't seem to be paying that much heed to the people of Karachi. Yes. They are busy in development elsewhere, but in Karachi you have the dumps of garbage,
Yes.
and now they are bringing down the buildings as
Buildings
well.
also, yes.
So whatever the rubble, that is not being picked there from there either. So what
Yes.
exactly are you going to do
Actually,
about that?
this is the province, provincial government which is doing this, and it was the decision of the Chief Justice that he wanted to take away all the things which has been established there since ages. So he didn't say that demolish the houses or demolish the things.
Demolish Empress Market.
Yes, demolish Empress Market, and he should, this government should give them first some other place that they'll take their whatever property they have there and whatever material they have there, they government should give them first their own places. And Khan Sahib was very particular about it, that he said that I never said that demolish a poor man's property.
Right.
I said that you should demolish the property which is being made by billionaires.
Yeah. And
So
which is illegal in nature.
illegal in nature. Yes,
Encroachment, so
yes,
to speak.
encroachment.
Ma'am, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to come back to the other two participants as well. But let me welcome Haroon Farouki Saab on telephone. He's joining us from Karachi. He's former president of Karachi Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and also was part of the delegation that met Prime Minister in Karachi yesterday. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Sir, let me tell you what was your takeaway, your team's takeaway from meeting with Prime Minister.
Well, basically, as far as we, the Karachi Chamber delegation was concerned, I mean, we actually had to meet him after we met him before his election on 22nd of July. And before being, taking as oath as Prime Minister, I mean, he had some promises with us, and yesterday he came back to us and asking us that yes, whatever your suggestions were, he actually fulfilled all those suggestions as far as the FBR reconstruction and the empowerment of Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry was concerned, and confining FBR to the extent of just revenue collecting agency, to act merely a revenue collecting agency and nothing beyond that. So he has already taken those directions that they have been announced now, and now it was the time that he said that I've come back to you with now what are your suggestions, that how we can go further practically. That was discussed in Thread and Bear, and he promised with us that he is going to take our suggestions, especially from the main stakeholders, which are the SMEs, because our insistence was that it is not only the corporate sector which is listed, the companies which are listed on this stock exchange. Actually, they contribute about 15 to 20% in the total economic growth and activities of this country. More than 80% are the SME, small and medium enterprises, and the small and medium manufacturers. Basically, they have their problems. And while whenever Mr. Imran Khan he comes out to the public, he always says that I'm going to bring the below Nitla Tabka I have to grow them up.
The
So
lower
I
class,
said that we insisted that all those formulations and the policies and the legislation, when it is going to be prepared and formulated, the six stakeholders' input and feedback has to be taken from the grassroots level and from small and medium enterprises. If we
Farouki
want
sir,
that
let
the
me ask you
economic...
another very important thing. Now that you have spoken to Prime Minister once again, can you say with comfort that the investor and business community of Pakistan is comfortable with the overall economic direction of the country and the government's policies?
Absolutely. You see, there is no doubt about it. As far as the Prime Minister Imran Khan himself is concerned, we have found him very positive, very clear, very determined, and totally dedicated. The issues are that how are they going to get all these bureaucratic mafia, the red tapeism, and because you see, the government has to formulate the policies and the implementation, as we all know, and the enforcement of those policies has to be done by the field formations and by the bureaucrats. And he has admitted that. And even last week we met in Islamabad, we met Asad Omar, we met Dawood Ibrahim, Razak Dawood, and the petroleum minister there in Islamabad after their cabinet meeting. And they also say that it has become very difficult because they are facing lots and lots of resistance from the bureaucracy, from the tax machinery, from the FBR. I mean, and So much so that we have brought a notice before them in shape of an SRO, empowering the FBR people to go and have raids on the different factories that they can have. I mean, they were being empowered, about which even the finance minister and Mr. Hamad Azhar, who is the revenue minister, they
sir.
were not aware of these
Farouqi
things.
Saab, thank you very much, sir. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there, but we get your point. There are too many things to do. At this moment, at least you're satisfied with the government's direction and the fact that the Prime Minister has a very sunny disposition and is, cooperating with the expectations of the investor class as well. That is important. Let me come back to the studio. And Imtiaz Badai Sahab, the question is for you, sir. Regarding 18th Amendment, when you talk about Karachi, Karachi deserves to develop, right? But it seems that somehow the provincial government, the government that is actually ruling Sindh, doesn't believe in empowering, or it doesn't seem that it believes in empowering the local government. So what happens now? Federal government wants to deliver service and better governance to the people, the voters in Karachi, and yet Sindh government, because it is not basically its constituent, they are not mainly focused on that. How do you resolve this issue?
Actually, thank you very much for asking this very important question. This is dilemma with the, you see, we have on one side parliamentary system of government,
Right.
and we are federal government. We have units, and then we have,
we are federal government.
we are federal
We have a federation. We don't have a confederation.
no, we are
Right.
not confederation, but we are federation.
Okay.
But
Thank you
the
very
eight-
much
but-
for
but the-
reminding me,
but the
because
18th
that is important.
But 18th Amendment,
Okay.
18th Amendment is, I guess that that's more, if we review that, the whole amendment,
Right.
that brings more towards confederation type, you see, thing,
Okay.
because the federation is little weak now. And the third thing is local bodies. In Karachi specifically, there are three entities there at this moment.
Right.
Number one is PTA government and the federation and the governor sitting there. Second is,
Not in Karachi. A governor is sitting in Karachi, but federal government is not sitting in Karachi.
but
is
he's
it?
the representative there. No?
Okay.
And the third, second thing is, second entity is Pakistan People's Party.
Okay.
They have provincial government there, and they are the chief executive of the province.
Right.
And the third is from MKM. They are allies of PTI.
Okay.
And mayor of MKM is, you see, there.
Mayor of Karachi is from MKM,
from
which is
MKM.
government allied.
So there are three type of, you see, entities there.
Okay.
Two are more conflicting at this moment. One is MKM and the other People's Party. And the third is
No, I understand that. I
Okay. Okay,
understand
let me-
the political divide. My question is more towards the legal side,
Yeah.
the constitutional side. 18th Amendment doesn't give the federal government any way to intervene in Karachi and to offer service delivery to people who have been neglected by the provincial government, and if the local government is not empowered. What are you going to do?
There are two ways. Number one, before this 18th Amendment, even then, federal government was not empowered more in the provincial areas.
Okay.
Number one. And only the federal departments, which are now reduced, you see.
Yeah.
There were more number of departments which are being directly, you see, supervised by federal government.
Okay.
And the governor sitting in the province he is the representative of federal government.
Yeah.
And in
But
some,
he doesn't have any powers, does he?
no, it does not make any difference because you see.
The job of a governor like president mainly is to accept
Yes, of
degrees
course, of
and to
course.
offer, distribute degrees.
Purely constitutionally speaking, this is the same situation as you are explaining about governor. So I guess that only the provincial government, which is the actual chief executive of the province, and they have to do that. And I was actually coming towards
But there is
the
only one
conflict
way.
between-
We have to actually unfurl the prayer mat and pray to God that there is a change of heart in the Sindh government, that they start delivering in
until
Karachi as well.
unless we don't go to amendment in the constitution again.
Okay, that's
That is
astounding.
the constitutional.
That
principle.
is mind-boggling, actually. If somebody is not delivering, how do you change that? Javed Rana, same question to you, sir.
I think amending the constitution is obviously something easier said than done in a given situation.
Right.
When the main
Parliament is hung
when,
parliament.
when there is a hung parliament and the two mainstream political party they did a lot of work on 18th Amendment. But from my understanding is that the biggest hurdle of introducing a uniform education system in Pakistan is the 18th Amendment.
Okay.
Because you devolve this education.
Why do you need that kind of uniformity?
I mean, because we have here now madrasa system, we have here a private education system, we have a government school system. So the text of the syllabus is varying, and the standards of the education system are varying. Under 18th Amendment, now policy making, determining the very text of the syllabus is the job of the provincial government.
Right.
So what has been happening? There has been
Yeah, but
there have
I
been
don't understand. My
instances-
question was primarily about Karachi's development. I understand that you want
I'm
to talk
focusing
about
on the-
education.
Education is also part of.
Yeah, but physical development, when they bring down buildings, they're demolishing encroachments, right? They claim they are. But the entire place is teeming with rubble. The rubble is lying there. You have listened to the mayor, he says, I don't have money. I can either resign or sit silently because we don't have any method to remove that kind of garbage. What happens then?
I think the reason being there is a lot of politics which is going on now.
Okay. He has power, he's
the
lying,
provincial
he's
government. The
deceiving.
provincial government is under the orders from the Supreme Court to demolish all the illegal structure. There are around 6,000 illegal structures there, half of which have been demolished.
And I'm not questioning that.
No, you are talking about the rebels. No, essentially it is a job of the district government, and the provincial government has to back it up.
Right, with
Now-
money and resources.
With money and resources. Now,
And the mayor is saying he doesn't have money. He doesn't have resources.
now there are voices from within the MKM, voices from the People's Party. They are playing a popular
Populist.
politics,
Yeah.
populist. Now the point is, to begin with, these are the illegal structures. These should have been demolished decades ago.
Somehow.
Now,
Javed
I'm coming
Rana,
to the
somehow
point.
you keep on focusing on the other aspects,
And I'm
not the
coming to
one
point.
that I'm trying to ask you about.
About the rebels and the debris.
Yeah.
These are not being picked up. The point that I'm trying to make
And
is
garbage for
because
past 5 years.
the
This is a
provincial
new
government
thing,
has
you know,
already gone
garbage is
with the
the
Supreme
old
Court
thing,
in a
yes.
review. They want that the orders of the Supreme Court should be suspended for some time.
Okay.
And-
Then you are going to push a button, reverse, and then
Exactly.
the structures are going to just go back in their shape.
These orders
I
have to
mean,
be
that is
implemented.
not going to happen. This is not Harry Potter. You have to remove the rubble that is lying there. The people and their lives are being turned into hell. I'm not talking about demolishing.
By doing that, they are actually sending a message to the people in Karachi that it's the PTI government
They supported of
which is going against them.
This is-
Yes.
That is the
This is the basic
politics.
reason.
Okay.
That's
The
unfortunate.
Sindh government is doing
that
it.
is the message that they're trying to communicate. And
Yeah,
also,
but hang on. A voter can vote for anybody, anytime, right? They can change their loyalty as well. Essentially, they are your people, whether they vote for you or not. You're going to let them go to dogs if they don't vote for you?
the point is, if there are illegal structures, look at the scale.
I'm not talking about illegal structure, I'm talking about development in Karachi. And how the mayor of the biggest city in the country, comes on here and says, I don't have money, I don't have resources, the provincial government doesn't empower me, and now what I'm going to do is, if you push me more, I'm going to resign, nothing else can be done.
I think the federal government does have some options, though they are very limited.
me about that.
Whereby they can spend money for the Karachi. That's not as big problem. But certainly
They are going to give money to
essentially-
whom?
Essentially,
Whom are they
to the
going to
provincial
pay?
government.
Okay, thank
to
you
the
very much.
provincial government.
You're making my
the
point
provincial
for me.
government. But again, then will the provincial government will be active enough to spend that money on the ground in Karachi?
So essentially, 18th Amendment is a hurdle in this way as well.
Part of the reason.
Okay.
Part of the reason.
Okay, and is there a way out?
Ideally speaking, there has to be amendment in the constitution, but I think that has to be more focused on education
Right.
than other subject. But
Nusrat
still-
Bhai Sahaba, are you going to,
But still
is
in
your
terms of,
government
by the
going
way,
to,
the last point I want
allow
to
me
make
to
was-
go to that lady, she has been waiting here for quite some time. Ma'am, one humble question. Is your government planning to do something about 18th Amendment or the situation in Karachi by bringing in some law?
We wanted Karachi because our PM has been saying it when he was not a PM that Karachi is PTI city, and now actually it's a PTI city, and this MQM has been doing rubbish to people actually when they.
Are you allies now? In the
Yeah,
parliament,
yeah,
in the
I
cabinet?
am. We are actually allies, but the moment they didn't get the vote, they let the city as it is. They didn't pick up the garbage, they didn't do anything, they took the water away, and it's a mafia of water tankers. If the water can come into the tankers, why not on the lines?
Yeah, but
Because
I have to talk and I have to ask you about the instruments that are available
Yes.
to bring about better governance.
Yes.
You are promising a lot of development to other parts of the country where you have direct government, right?
Yes.
In Punjab, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, even in Balochistan where you are in coalition. Now in Karachi, you have a big pocket of A, they are your voters,
Yes.
B, even if they were not, they are your citizens, and this is actually the largest city of the country, and it is the economic hub. Do you have any instruments to bring about the change that people expect?
Yes, we have got 14 seats, MNA seats from Karachi, and whatever money, whatever things we will get, we will spend on Karachi, and we will make it better place to live for the people because now.
How?
Because we want to take away all the garbage. We will
But
put,
you are not in local government. You are not in the provincial government.
but still every MNA can clean the area from where he has won the seat. So it's not the government who will
They
come
can
for
use
the
their
help.
own money to
Yes,
Probably they can't, right?
yes, they can.
From
They
where
can.
get resources.
Actually,
They will get.
either they are very rich or
No, they are-
otherwise somebody gives
no,
them.
some of them are very rich and they have been doing
they are-
this during
they
their campaign.
There are parts of Karachi which are going to be spotless now.
Yes,
Because
you
the
can say.
MNA is
But
rich. What
no,
happens to the
no,
poor,
no,
poor
no, no.
MNAs?
The money which we will get from the government, they give us some amount that we can work on them. So
You're talking about salaries or you're talking about development funds?
development funds. Salaries are not
Are we,
much.
are we still giving that?
Actually,
Yeah.
federal
Yeah, we will
government
get,
can't give money directly to the.
No, MNAs, development fund used to be there. MNAs were
They
given
gave
that
us
kind of amount.
before.
But that is what PTI government has said they won't do it.
Yeah,
But
this is the problem.
no, but they will give us, and the PM and the
In
other
this case, they
committee-
might have an intervention and one can understand. Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
because they wanted to give us so that we can work there, and they will supervise us. Not a penny will go from here to there, like previously.
yeah.
Yes, okay, whatever money has been given, it was never been used for the purpose which they have given. It has been gone into their pockets or outside their country or whatever. So now, if the government will give us money, we will spend on the spot where we have our plans to spend.
Right. So that is heartening. At least we might have a kunda politics here. Yeah, you have to find a shortcut, but
No,
you have.
no, it's not a shortcut,
I mean, technically it is.
A government will spend his own money or he will give to his people, MNAs
Yeah.
who have won. So they will spend their money.
Through governor,
Yeah.
the federal government can also enable financially
Yes.
the MNAs.
Yes, and MNAs
You
will.
realize that basically it is not job of an MNA to develop or clean a place.
Yes,
It,
I know.
his
but,
job is to
but
actually
if
make
the
laws.
mayor is not doing it, if the provincial government is not doing it, then we have to do.
Is there a possibility that the federal government gives money to the governor and governor then gives that money to the mayor and mayor then does his job?
Mayor, if the mayor could have done it, he must have done it before
Yeah,
also.
there is a resignation
Yes,
also.
yes.
People don't believe that he will be able to do it. So, but is it legally possible?
No, actually there are constitutional constraints because
what?
because there are two types of things. Number one, federal government can't give money directly to the governor
Why not?
because governor is not executive authority there.
Of course, but he is a representative of the federation.
Yes, but the federal government is not the executive authority in those departments about whom we are discussing.
No, but I'm talking about
And
cash
second-
flow.
and second thing-
cash flow from the federal government to the governor house. Possible or not?
Not possible.
Not possible.
Yeah,
You want to see-
Possible, but that would be an extreme step. There will have to
That will be
coalition of
interface, yeah.
governors
Now,
and-
now talk about the second step. Money is there. Governor has some money, right? Governor House has some money. Now the flow of money from Governor House to Mayor, is it illegal?
Yes, that will be illegal.
Why?
Because mayor will get each and everything through provincial government.
Okay. But
As per
if
the
a
constitution.
comma,
And second thing is
if
that.
I'm a citizen
and
in
second thing-
Karachi,
And
hang
second
on,
thing
sir,
is.
hang on. If I'm a citizen of Karachi, if I'm a resident of Karachi, I want to volunteer, and if I want to collect funds and give the money to the mayor, that will not be
But
acceptable.
you see, those funds are for development purposes, not lifting the garbage. Okay, they have to
Lifting
give.
garbage-
They have to give projects.
Lifting
The
garbage
money
is
not
part
given,
of development.
The money is not given to MNAs to spend anywhere. You see,
Right.
they have to.
anywhere, they will
They have to
have
give
their
their projects.
projects, yes.
They have to give their projects,
Yes.
and against those projects, the money is given by federal government or any government, and that money is spent on those projects only. So it's there's you see, and thereafter maybe they will have problem.
So one last thing, we need some kind of amendment into 18th Amendment.
I think that's extremely important. Education has been this government's one of the priority. And when we talk of introducing uniform...
Come back to education.
Because this is extremely important.
No, I
tell
respect your choice.
But again,
but the point
I
is-
think the other things
my
are also
understanding
very
is-
important, basic
See,
things,
This
you
is
know,
an
health,
Healthcare.
this is an exceptional
cleanliness.
situation whereby a provincial government may not be cooperating with the federal government when it comes to the development of mega city Karachi. But I think we should not look into the exceptionalism, or we need to look at a bigger picture.
Can
the-
you,
the- the
sir,
develop-
you must have seen the census of Pakistan. What is the population of Pakistan, sir?
No, I understand.
200 million?
207 million. 7 million.
7 million. Okay, what is the population of
It's a-
mega
it-
city
it-
that you're
it-
talking
it-
about,
it is the-
exceptions?
It is the mega city. I think there are other ways. There are political means whereby the PTA government can negotiate with the provincial government.
Okay.
Why not to invest on Karachi? There is a possibility, there is a room. The federal government can monitor it. If the federal government is giving money to the Sindh, they are not going to eat up in a manner that it will cease to exist.
They have to eat up usually the funds given to certain places which are not meant to go, or they don't want it. It lapses. It comes back without being used, and this is the concern. 18th Amendment has to be rethought. We agree on that? You
Has
agree
to
on
be
that?
rethought. Has to be rethought.
Right. Now let us go to another very important aspect, and that is the reshuffling of the cabinet. And Nusrat Wahid Sahaba, for 9 hours, I think, the cabinet was in session, the Prime Minister was chairing it, and we were told that they are going to come up with certain names that either might be axed or replaced, or they might be given another portfolio, shifted from one place to another. After that, we have heard nothing. That meeting has concluded, and we are told that at least I saw one private channel ticker that Prime Minister is happy with the performance of all the ministers.
No, he took the reports from them, what have they done in 3 months, and he will check it after that, and then he will decide
How much
whatever.
time does that take?
I think 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
So we can see who's going to
Stay
stay and who's going
who is
to.
going to be transferred from
Okay.
minister
That
to
is about fulfilling your promise of self-accountability.
Yes.
Now let me ask you about this entire concept of 100-day as a marker. Do you think that it is a time for a government that has never been in power at the center to hold its ministers accountable in first 100 days?
RPM is the type of person who gave challenge to himself and started working on it.
Giving
And-
challenge to
yeah.
one's own self is another thing.
Yeah.
The
And-
cabinet ministers,
yeah, and
they
to
have
his
to work
cabinet
with
ministers
bureaucrats.
also, definitely, because if he'll challenge himself and not them, then the work will be done by them, not him most of the time.
Okay.
So he gave them time and he gave them whatever project they have, and then here today he has meeting and
yeah.
So
Could it be a more lenient time frame for milestones? Like 150 days, 200 days?
No, it will be I think the same, because it's a new government. First
Yeah.
of all,
Zero experience
yes,
at
zero
center.
experience. Ji, federal. We do not have any
So
experience.
this much time a minister takes actually to enter the office to get
to
acclimatized
get to know,
with the
yes,
environment. Yeah.
to get to know the thing.
How do you perform?
I think that, sorry, most of the people are from other parties.
Okay.
Most of the people, that they have the experience of everything. It's
You're saying that your
it's-
cabinet doesn't represent your party that
no,
much?
no. It represents, because now they are our part. I am talking about the experience. They have the experience of the office. Sorry.
Yeah, but I get the point that you're making, and that
Yes.
is that there are many people who are experienced,
Yes.
who have served in the
100
previous
days,
governments.
I think 100 days are nothing in making the history of a nation,
Okay.
or for the government also.
Or a
But-
government.
Yeah, for or a government. But in 100 days, we have, straightened our line. This is where we have
There is
to
a
go.
direction. Yeah.
Yes,
That
direction was there.
That is important, and let me bring in Imtiaz Badai Saab. So your take on 100 days. Do you think that it is the correct marker, or it is too early to ask these questions?
I guess it was too early, because 100 days are not much time for, especially for that government which has first experience in the central government to make a government at federation level. And they could, I guess, fix the target of maybe 6 months. That could be more rational and realistic. And but in 100 days, I guess they have experienced all type of situation.
Yeah.
Hostile situation,
Okay.
and oppositions, you see, pressurizing on them on different issues,
And
their decision makings
TLP
and reversal of
protest on the
decisions,
on the road. TLP
and
coming on the road.
everything they have faced now. I guess that after 100 days, no, they should behave like more mature, you see.
Okay.
And
Why do you think they are not already?
no, they were, but they were not experienced about this thing. So they have got experience of 4 months now.
No, but
And
I smell a contradiction here. On one side, you are saying 100 days is nothing, inexperience,
Nothing.
right? And then you say now they have to
No,
start.
actually they have
performing in a
assimilated
certain
now.
way.
They have assimilated, and they know now what type of difficulties they face during this period. And
So
they,
what
especially,
happens if
especially
a
the opposition,
minister?
which is a strong
hang
opposition.
on. What happens when a minister took this much time to understand his ministry, and once he is experienced, you are going to change him because he didn't perform?
No, it is not just changing of the ministries. You see, if and I'm sure that there will not be big changes.
Okay.
Maybe a couple of changes.
Okay.
Which
like
I am
what? Haircuts?
like that. You can say if a cabinet of 40 people.
There's a lot of talk about Boris Johnson getting a new haircut. So maybe some of the ministers might actually go for
Actually,
new
you see that
hairstyle.
revisiting of decision is not bad thing,
Okay.
because every
Which
sensible
decision?
person.
Which decision? Cabinet?
Yes, allocation of departments to different people. If some are misfit and the leadership of PTI feels that they can perform in other ministry in a better way,
How would you know that?
there's no harm.
No, but how would you know that? If a minister has been there for 100 days and you thought that he's not performing well, there might be something wrong with his skill set. And if that happens, how can you reallocate him to another ministry?
Actually, you see that.
And how would you know that he's good for that ministry?
No. The leadership has spent 9 hours, you see,
Okay.
in the cabinet meeting,
Right.
and I guess reviewed thoroughly and minutely the performance of all the
No,
cabinet
but
members.
I understand
And
that.
after that, he is.
For example, my job is to host a program. I might do it well. I might actually not do well at all, right? But how would you know that I'm going to make an excellent guest? I didn't enter that ministry. I didn't go to that department. How would you know that I will do better in that ministry?
Background of every person that speaks that which area he is more specialized,
Right.
and he has more skills.
And 100 days
Like
changes that.
Like you see that Sher Rashid has been given railway.
Okay.
Because he had experience of railway.
Okay.
So he has started performing there, no doubt.
Okay.
And at least we are reading the newspapers, and you see different type of that he has
Why are
started
you
new
smiling?
trains.
while saying this?
At least you see that he is going to take some initiatives
No,
and
I
he is performing
understand,
there.
but why are you smiling?
I'm mentioning actually with a smiling face because that is more accepted using. So
okay.
that's why I'm using this
Okay.
tool.
Then you have to answer all the questions while smiling, right? Okay, let me go to Javed Rana. And same question basically for you.
I think, again, we should not look at the performance benchmark. We need to look at the direction that the government has set. That is extremely important because 3 months are obviously, it's a very short span of time whereby you cannot determine the very performance of any particular government. I think let's see the two ministries, the foreign ministry and the finance ministry. They are extremely important. The direction that the government has set. To begin with the foreign ministry, I think they have extremely done a good job.
Yeah. Nobody disagrees on that.
And
Because of
I
experience.
think the direction that the Prime Minister himself has set, that's extremely important, and that is something the people of Pakistan were demanding for the last almost 2 decades now. Sending a clear message to the American leadership,
Yeah. Unapologetic,
unapologetic
mirroring of the sentiments
public
on the street.
sentiment. Net result is that within days, Pakistan gets a formal letter from the Donald Trump
Okay.
requesting to facilitate a negotiated settlement of peace process in
You have
Afghanistan.
made your point on foreign policy. Now come to finance.
I think that there are both positives and the negatives.
Right.
It was a
Is
difficult.
it also because media half the time doesn't even understand what exactly is going on in macroeconomics? And that's why we keep on flying kites?
It's partly that, partly you are right, but again, the kind of the economy that the government had inherited, there had to be certain responses from the new government.
Okay.
I think they have mishandled when it comes to the devaluation, but when it comes to the seeking loan from the IMF,
Hang on, how have they mismanaged the devaluation when the previous government had actually started it? And this trend continued during the caretaker setup as well.
Again, I think
mean,
the
are
Prime
you going to
Minister.
control the market?
I think the Prime Minister himself has he's made point very clearly that there has to be a better communication between
Yeah,
State
but
Bank of
remember
Pakistan
that
and the
that
finance
cannot
ministry.
be at
But
the
more
cost.
more than that, I think
Javed
when
Rana, that cannot be at the cost of autonomy of the State Bank of Pakistan. Everyone agrees on that, right?
But again, when you
so-
devalue your rupees, it means there are trickle-down effects.
No,
it
but
means
market
more
is
price
doing
hike.
that. Market
it
is
means
doing
more
that.
inflation. So I think these are
Okay,
very
we can
sensitive
disagree on that or we can agree on that, but humble submission, humble
But
question.
part of another aspect.
No, hang on. You are actually grading the ministries. The question is, right now, is it enough time to remove a minister, to replace a minister, or they should be given their jobs at this moment? They should maintain their jobs so that if they have learned anything, they can perform in the next quarter and show you the deliverables.
I think the Prime Minister himself can better decide, but my understanding.
No, I'm not asking
but
you to
my
decide on his
understanding is-
behalf.
My understanding is.
I'm asking
this is
you
a
for
very
your
short-
opinion.
This is a very short span of time, very short span of time. More than performance, it is the direction. The Prime Minister has to evaluate how far his minister has gone to the right direction.
Okay.
And I think that is where my understanding
And
is.
you agree with these three benchmarks: austerity, new projects, and the time that will be spent, number of and time of new projects, the plan for future.
It will take time. It will take
No,
time.
but these are the three markers that the PTI's tweet has actually identified. That there are three markers on which ministers are being judged. One is that so far how they have performed and how exactly things are going to be. The second is the number of projects they come up with. The first is actually austerity. You're cutting cost or not. The second is number of projects that you are going to introduce in the coming days and the time it is going to take, the plan. Do you think that this should be the basis at this moment in first 100 days to decide career of a minister?
I think, as he said, it's the PM who will decide, but
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
I'm
in a
asking
way.
for opinion,
Yeah.
not a
yeah.
decision right
yeah,
now.
Yeah, I know. but I think these things are very important to consider somebody uh, that he has done his work or he will do it in his future life. So, if the person he sees something like that, like austerity, he brings the prices down, whatever project he is doing, and then he will engage other people in his project, and that engagement will be positive, in a positive
Yeah, but
direction.
there are certain places where you cannot cut costs. What happens to those ministries? For example, Defense Minister Khattak Saab, he is going to be in dilemma that he cannot cut any costs.
He
Can
will not do it,
I mean-
because he is not senseless person. He knows where to cut the prices or where to cut the sizes and where not. So he will not ask Parvez Khattak to
Yeah,
cut
and
down.
Parveen Khattak will not try to do that
Yes,
either.
yes.
Because that is something that we cannot compromise on right
Yes,
now. Right?
definitely.
So
With a
you
neighbor like
agree with the
India.
benchmarks
Yes.
and you agree with the timeline as well?
Timeline, I think, is
Less, too steep, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Imtaz Badai sir, you agree with the
As-
3 benchmarks?
Yes, I agree, but as per my assessment, fairly speaking, I am not expecting immediate change in any ministry so far.
Okay.
In the next couple of months. Their performance has been evaluated.
Who's going to call the ministers and tell that as well? Because one minister was caught off guard actually talking about it.
So the performance of all the ministries have been evaluated. And further, I'm just guessing in this because I was not in the cabinet meeting. And they have given further, you see, guideline
Okay.
to improve their performance and come up with more results. So I'm expecting that any change, any big change, maybe after after 1 quarter more.
One more quarter.
Yeah.
That is important. I'm told that we have to actually start concluding the program, but Javed Rana, here's the question. I see what the government is doing, right? You agree with me that there are positive signs or direction. Farouk Issa was joining us from Karachi, and he agreed that there were positive signs. The question is, when a government is new in a job, and it must be nervous at the start, and media starts shouting atop their voice that you are doing everything wrong, do this, do that. What happens then? Is the media part of the problem now?
Old habits die hard.
Okay.
Our media has been in the habit of propaganda,
Okay.
favoring certain political parties and disfavoring other political parties.
Most of them used to favor
But
this
I
party.
think, I've been particularly perturbed over the kind of the narrative they try to build about this desi chickens and things like that. These
Egg and chicken
egg and chicken.
debate.
And these are the perfect projects, and which are in vogue everywhere outside Pakistan. And even
You have-
had
Are you in the habit of opening the Pandora's box at the very end of the program? Every program that you participate, you give me a
at least
fodder
something
for
for
a
the
new
next
war.
program. Had Prime Minister used the term of that he's going to set up the poultry farms,
Yeah,
there would not
naturally.
have been any
No,
negative
that
remarks.
argument made perfect sense. What happens next is the question.
I think media will change its habits
They are
over the
doing
period
overdoing.
of
They are
time.
doing
It will-
overdoing.
It will take time. They have developed their habits over the period of time.
Okay.
So let's hope for the best.
And this from people whose business model was primarily dependent on government's advertising, and that's why now
Yes.
there is so much pain and anger
Yes,
that
yes. The basic thing is
their
that.
businesses are shutting down. This is an important point. But I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Javed Rana, thank you very much for your time. Imtiaz Badai sir, thank you very much for your time as well, sir. And Nusrat Wahid Sahiba, it was for the first time you came. Thank you very much for your time as well. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. Discussion has to continue. We still have to see what becomes of the various ministries, what happens to various policy initiatives. But one thing is for sure. When it comes to the federal government, there is a plan, and they are actually introducing the plan. We are told that we should be expecting at least plans from 2 provincial governments, that is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab, but we still have to wait and see what exactly happens. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.